Happy almost New Year, everyone. I'm so excited for this deep dive. It's all about eco-friendly lawn care. We've got a whole stack of research and articles.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Like New Year, new lawn right.
Totally. A lot of people thinking about resolutions and fresh starts.
Exactly. So maybe this year we can all resolve to give our lawns a makeover, but like an eco-friendly makeover.
Yeah. Okay, so I gotta ask, why should we even care about eco-friendly lawn care? I mean, it's just grass, right?
Right. That's what most people think.
Yeah.
But conventional lawn care can have some downsides.
Downsides? Like what?
Well, think about all those chemical fertilizers and pesticides.
Oh, yeah.
Those can actually impact the environment and even our health.
Really? I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. It's something a lot of people don't realize. So traditional lawns, they require a ton of water.
Especially like in drier climates, right?
Exactly. And all those chemicals we use, they don't just disappear.
Oh, so they like run off into the water.
Exactly. They end up in waterways, polluting them and harming aquatic life.
Wow.
It can even contaminate our drinking water.
Okay. That's pretty serious.
Yeah, it's a bigger issue than most people realize.
Okay. So besides the water, what about all the buzz about bees and butterflies? Like, do our lawns really affect them?
Absolutely. Even if you're super careful with pesticides and targeting just one pest, they can still harm beneficial insects, like bees and butterflies.
So it's like collateral damage.
Kinda. And those pollinators, they're crucial for a healthy ecosystem.
Makes sense. So basically, our quest for this perfect green lawn is kind of backfiring.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Okay, I'm ready to hear about the better way then. So the articles you sent over, they really emphasize soil testing.
Yes.
But is it really that different from just grabbing a bag of fertilizer from the store?
It's completely different. Soil testing is like a blood test for your yard.
Okay, interesting.
It gives you a snapshot of what's going on beneath the surface.
So I know what's actually going on down there.
Exactly. You find out which nutrients are lacking, which ones are abundant.
So no more guessing games?
Exactly. You can apply the right type and amount of fertilizer, save money, prevent over-fertilizing.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't realize over-fertilizing could be a problem. I always figured more fertilizer equals a greener lawn.
Not necessarily. Over-fertilizing can actually damage your grass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called fertilizer burn. And those excess nutrients, they can leach into the groundwater.
Oh, right. Back to the water pollution issue.
Exactly. Soil testing also tells you your soil's pH level, which is super important.
pH level. Now that sounds familiar from high school chemistry, but what does it mean for my lawn?
Well, different types of grass thrive at different pH levels.
Makes sense.
Like Bermuda grass, it likes a slightly acidic pH around 6.0 to 6.5.
Okay.
But fescue does better in a slightly more neutral range, like 6.5 to 7.0.
So knowing my soil's pH helps me choose the right fertilizer.
Exactly, and it helps you create that perfect growing environment.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So soil testing, it takes the guesswork out of lawn care.
Right.
All right, well, speaking of fertilizer, what about all the buzz around organic fertilizers?
Oh, yeah.
Are they really all they're cracked up to be?
They really are.
Yeah.
Organic fertilizers have a ton of benefits.
Like what?
Well, for one, they improve soil structure,
Okay.
which helps with water retention.
So less watering for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And studies have shown that organic fertilizers can reduce nitrogen runoff.
Nitrogen runoff. That's the stuff that pollutes the water, right?
Yes, by up to 50% compared to synthetic fertilizers.
50%? Wow, that's huge.
Plus, organic fertilizers release nutrients gradually, unlike synthetics, which are like a quick burst and then fade.
Oh, so it's like a slow and steady approach.
Exactly. Which means no more fertilizer burn and longer lasting results.
Interesting. And do they do anything else good for the soil?
Oh, yeah. They also feed the beneficial microorganisms living in the soil.
So they're not just feeding the grass. They're supporting this whole ecosystem below the surface.
Exactly.
This is amazing. I feel like I'm just now starting to understand what it takes to have a truly healthy lawn.
It's more than just the grass you see on top.
Totally. Okay, well, I'm ready for more. So what's next?
Let's move on to something that seems simple, but is actually really important.
Mowing.
Mowing. But that's easy, right? Just push the mower around?
Well, there's actually more to it than you might think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even something as basic as mowing can have a big impact on the health of our lawns.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So, mowing. It's funny how something so simple can actually make a big difference.
Right. Like, I never thought about it too much before we started talking. I just thought, push the mower around and you're good.
Yeah. But how we mow can actually affect a lot of things, like water retention,
disease prevention.
Really? So it's more than just making the grass look neat.
Exactly. Let's start with mowing patterns.
Mowing patterns. You mean like the direction I push the mower?
Exactly. A lot of people just mow in the same direction every time.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
But that can compact the soil and even create like ruts in your lawn.
Oh, I see. So I should mix it up.
Exactly. Try alternating between horizontal, vertical, even circular patterns.
So I'm giving my grass like a little workout. Exactly. And just like any workout, you need the right equipment.
Okay. So what kind of mower should I be using?
Well, first of all, make sure your blades are sharp.
Oh, yeah. Dull blades make sense.
They rip and tear the grass instead of cutting it cleanly.
Like using a butter knife to cut a steak?
Exactly. And speaking of making a mess, you know those grass clippings?
You mean the ones I always rake up and bag?
Yeah. Those are actually a valuable source of nutrients.
Really? I thought they just made my lawn look messy.
Nope. When they decompose, they release nitrogen and other good stuff back into the soil.
So they're like natural fertilizer.
Exactly. It's called grass cycling.
Smart.
And it can really reduce your need for chemical fertilizers.
Grass cycling. I've heard of that. But I always thought it would make my lawn look unkempt.
Not if you mow regularly.
Yeah.
And the clippings are finely chopped. They'll decompose quickly.
And I'll save time by not bagging them.
Exactly. Less work, and a healthier lawn.
Okay, I'm sold. But I do have one concern. Won't leaving those clippings cause thatch buildup?
That's a good question. Thatch is that layer of dead grass and stuff that builds up.
Right, between the soil and the grass.
Yeah, a little thatch can actually be good. But too much can be a problem.
Because it blocks water and nutrients.
Right. The clippings themselves don't cause thatch. But if you're already having thatch issues, you might want to talk to a lawn care expert.
To get to the root of the problem.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, so we've covered mowing. Now let's talk about watering.
Okay. Watering seems pretty straightforward, though.
It does. But there are some key things to keep in mind.
Like what?
Well, one important thing is deep watering.
Deep watering. So like watering less often, but for longer periods?
Exactly. Instead of watering every day for a few minutes, try watering once or twice a week, but really soak the soil.
So it's like training the roots to go deeper.
Precisely. They'll become more drought tolerant.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is there a best time to water?
Yes. Early morning is best, between 6 and 10 a.m.
Why so early?
Because it gives the water time to soak in before the sun gets too high.
So less evaporation.
Exactly. Watering in the evening can actually make your lawn more prone to diseases.
Because it stays damp for too long.
Right. And remember we talked about watering in the afternoon.
Yeah. He said it leads to a lot of water waste.
30% water loss due to evaporation.
Wow. Okay. I'm definitely a morning waterer from now on. What about those smart sprinkler controllers? Are they worth it?
They can be a great investment. They adjust watering schedules based on the weather.
Oh, so they know when it's going to rain.
Exactly. And they can even monitor soil moisture levels.
Wow. Technology is amazing.
It really is. All right, so now let's tackle a topic that a lot of homeowners struggle with, pests.
Yeah, pests are the worst.
And it can be tempting to just grab the strongest pesticide you can find.
I've definitely been there.
But there's a better way. Remember we talked about integrated pest management?
IPM, right? It sounded pretty complicated.
It's not as complicated as it sounds. It's basically a common sense approach.
Okay.
Focus on prevention and use the least harmful methods first.
So don't just nuke everything with chemicals.
Exactly. The first step is actually identifying the pest.
Oh, seems obvious. But I bet a lot of people skip that step.
You'd be surprised.
So once you know what you're dealing with, then what?
Then you can start exploring natural controls, like attracting beneficial insects.
Like ladybugs.
Exactly. Ladybugs love aphids. So if you have an aphid problem, release some ladybugs into your garden.
That's pretty cool.
If that's not enough, you can try barriers or traps.
Okay.
And then only as a last resort would you consider using a pesticide.
And even then, it should be a targeted, low-toxicity pesticide.
Exactly. It's all about working with nature, not against it.
Okay, IPM. I think I'm starting to get it. So what else can we do to work with nature?
Well, speaking of working with nature, let's talk about native plants.
Yes. The articles you sent over, they were really into native plants, calling them the superheroes of eco-friendly lawn care.
They're pretty amazing.
So what makes them so special?
Well, they're adapted to the local climate and soil conditions.
So they're already used to living here.
Exactly. Which means they need less water, less fertilizer, less maintenance overall.
So less work for me.
Exactly. And they're naturally more resistant to pests and diseases.
Because they've evolved alongside them?
Right. So you won't need to use as many pesticides.
Okay, I'm seeing the appeal. But what about the looks? Are native plants as pretty as traditional landscaping?
Absolutely. They come in all sorts of colors and textures. You can create a really beautiful and diverse landscape using native plants.
And they attract beneficial wildlife, right? Like pollinators and birds?
Exactly. You'll be creating a little ecosystem right in your backyard.
Okay, I love that idea. But switching to a fully native lawn seems kind of daunting.
It can be. You don't have to do it all at once.
Just start small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe create a small bed or border with native flowers, shrubs, or grasses.
Baby steps.
Exactly. Are there any particular types of native plants that are good for lawns?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Well, it depends on your region. But some popular options include low-growing ground covers,
Ground covers.
like creeping thyme or clover.
Creeping thyme, like the herb.
Yes. Some varieties actually smell like thyme when you walk on them,
Oh, that's cool.
and they tolerate foot traffic, so they can actually replace your grass.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
What about if I want a more traditional lawn look?
Then you might consider low-mow or no-mow grass alternatives.
Like what?
Buffalo grass fescue. Those are a couple of examples.
So less mowing. Sign me up.
And remember those wildflower meadows we talked about?
Yeah, they sound beautiful. But wouldn't they be a nightmare to maintain?
Not at all. They're actually pretty low maintenance.
Really?
Once they're established, you only need to mow them once or twice a year.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I need to learn more about wildflower meadows.
They're a great option for larger areas.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we move on to equipment,
Sure.
any questions about native plants?
This is also inspiring, but are there any common mistakes people make when trying to transition to an eco-friendly lawn, like things I should watch out for?
Yeah, definitely. One common mistake is trying to do too much too soon.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening.
It's a process. Start small. Experiment. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Baby steps, right? What other pitfalls should I avoid?
Another mistake is neglecting soil health.
Oh, right. The foundation of a healthy lawn.
Exactly. You need to amend your soil with compost and other organic matter.
And remember those deep watering techniques?
Deep watering is key.
Okay. So any other concerns?
I think I'm good for now. This is all really making me think differently about lawn care.
That's great. It's not just about having a pretty lawn. It's about making choices that are good for the environment and for us.
I love that. Speaking of making choices, I'm curious about the financial side of things. Is eco-friendly lawn care more expensive?
It can seem that way at first,
Yeah.
especially if you're investing in things like soil testing or native plants.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it can actually save you money.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. When you have a healthy established lawn, it needs less water, less fertilizer, fewer pesticides.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. All of those things add up. And a thriving ecosystem can help control pests naturally.
So I'm saving money and helping the environment. Win-win.
Exactly. And you know what else?
What?
I read that over 10 years, a traditional lawn can cost 5 times more to maintain than a native plant landscape.
5 times more. Wow. Okay. I'm officially on board with eco-friendly lawn care. But before we wrap up, we need to talk about equipment, right?
Yes. Choosing the right equipment is important too.
Okay, I'm ready to hear more. All right, so eco-friendly lawn equipment. I'm still a little skeptical about this one. I mean, does it really matter what kind of mower I use?
It does more than you might think. Gas-powered mowers. Those are the biggest culprits.
Yeah, what's so bad about them?
Well, for one, they produce a lot of emissions.
Emissions, like air pollution.
Exactly. All those pollutants, they contribute to smog respiratory problems.
Oh, wow. Okay, so not good for the air.
Yeah.
And what about all that noise?
Yeah, they're noisy too.
Yeah.
Not just for you,
Well,
but for your neighbors as well.
right.
Yeah.
True. So what are the alternatives? Are electric mowers actually any good?
They've come a long way. They're much quieter now.
Okay, that's good. And they don't produce any emissions, right?
Right. And they require less maintenance than gas mowers too.
Okay, that's a plus.
Oh.
But are they powerful enough? Like, can they handle a real lawn?
Absolutely. There are different power levels available, so you can find one that's right for your lawn size.
Okay, good to know. What about those old-fashioned reel mowers? Do those actually work?
They do,
Like-
especially for smaller lawns.
So it's like getting a workout and mowing the lawn at the same time.
Exactly. And they're the most environmentally friendly options since they don't require any power.
All right, so we've got electric mowers, real mowers. There's got to be an eco-friendly option for everyone.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. I feel like I've learned so much.
What are your main takeaways? Like if you had to summarize it for someone.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is realizing that lawn care is about so much more than just the grass. It's about the soil, the water, the air, the wildlife.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Yeah. And I also learned that eco-friendly lawn care doesn't have to be complicated or expensive.
Right. There are simple things everyone can do to make a difference.
Like switching to organic fertilizer.
Yes. And grass cycling.
Right. Leaving those clippings on the lawn.
And being mindful of how you water.
Deep watering early in the morning.
Exactly. And of course, choosing the right equipment.
Like electric mowers or real mowers.
It all adds up.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired to get started, but where do I even begin?
Well, I always recommend starting with a soil test.
Okay, soil test.
It gives you a baseline understanding of your soil.
Like a checkup for my lawn.
Exactly. Then you can start making changes gradually.
Baby steps, right?
Yeah.
What are some easy changes people can make right away?
Well, we talked about organic fertilizer. That's a great place to start.
And grass cycling?
Yes. And being more mindful of your mowing habits.
Like mowing higher, sharpening the blades.
And varying your mowing pattern.
Okay, got it. What about pests? Any advice for dealing with those without resorting to chemicals?
Remember IPM integrated pest management.
Right. Start with identifying the pest, then look for natural controls.
Exactly. And remember, a healthy lawn is naturally more pest resistant.
So focus on building up that soil health.
Exactly. Okay. So any other questions? Anything you're still unsure about?
I think you've covered pretty much everything. But what if people need more help? Are there any resources you recommend?
Absolutely. Your local cooperative extension office is a great resource.
Oh, yeah. Always forget about them.
They offer soil testing workshops, advice from experts.
Perfect. And what about online resources?
There are tons. The Xerces Society is a great organization for pollinator-friendly information.
Okay. The Xerces Society. Got it. Any others?
The National Wildlife Federation. They have a certification program for backyard habitats.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So lots of resources available.
Yeah, you don't have to figure it all out on your own.
That's good to know. I'm really excited to put all of this into practice.
It's about making those small changes that can have a big impact.
Yeah, and it's not just about having a pretty lawn. It's about creating a healthier environment for ourselves and for future generations.
Exactly. Well, this has been a really great deep dive.
It has. I hope it's inspired our listeners to rethink their lawns.
Me too. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into eco-friendly lawn care.
It's been a pleasure.
And Happy New Year, everyone! Let's make this the year we all go green.